Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you are safe and well. Now it's a Wednesday evening, I think it's Wednesday anyway, who knows, we are still under kind of lockdown, who knows what's going on because I sure don't. But it is a Wednesday, so I'm told, and I have decided to do an impromptu video. I wasn't planning this, but I'm at that point now where I need cake again. I haven't had much way of sweet stuff recently. I don't buy it a lot, I don't keep it in the house a lot. I'm more of a savoury guy than a sweet guy, although people tell me that I'm sweet. But every now and again I get a hankering for something sweet, and I have nothing in the house at the moment, so I decided I'm going to have to try and make something. Now a few weeks ago I did a new segment called Winging It, which was basically me making something up on the spot, and I made a red onion and feta cheese tart which came out very well in the end. But I've decided to do it again, but I'm deciding to make a cake this time. But because we're still kind of under lockdown, who knows what's going on, I sure don't. Things like flour and stuff like that are still really hard to come by. Now I do have flour at the moment, but I decided I'm going to try and make a cake using something other than flour. And I had a rummage around in my cupboards, and I've got some ground almonds, and I also have some polenta. And I don't know why I have polenta, I can't remember what I bought it for. I seem to have a few things like that. But I thought, why not use it? People are struggling to get flour and stuff like that. So let's see if I can come up on the spot with an alternative to using flour by using polenta and ground almonds and try and come up with something. So I'm going to try and make a chocolate polenta ground almond cake, or whatever you want to call it. I've had a rummage around in my cupboards, and I have some cocoa powder and things like that. So I've got all the stuff to make a cake. I just don't know how it's going to come out because I've never used polenta for baking a cake before. So this is a complete experiment. It could go horribly wrong, but I thought, why not give it a go? And if something great comes out of it, brilliant. And if not, well, it'll be entertaining for you. Either way, everyone's a winner, except for me. I probably won't end up with cake if it goes horribly wrong, but let's find out. I'm interested to see how it goes, and hopefully you are too. So let's give it a go. Let's start winging it. No, that's not going to be a thing. No catchphrases. Let's get started. Right, I'm going to start off this cake like any other cake by using some butter. I'm going with 250 grams of butter here because that's a whole pack of butter in here in the UK, and it saves me having to measure too much out. I've just softened it in the microwave for 20 seconds as well because it was still rock hard. Then I'm going to add in exactly the same amount of sugar. That's another 250 grams worth there. That's caster sugar. Always assume it's caster sugar if I don't say otherwise. Then I'm going to beat this together until it becomes paler and fluffy. Right, that looks pretty good. That looks a lot paler and fluffier. So now I'm going to add in 3 eggs because there's going to be no self-raising flour or anything like that in here. So we need to get some lift into it, and that's going to be partly due to eggs. I'm going to use 3 of these, and I'm going to do them one at a time. 2. A bit of shell in there, got a bit too cocky. Oh, come on, smooth, Matt, smooth. And the last one, let's see if I can do this without a shell. Really, that was much better. Right, that's looking a lot smoother and creamier and paler, so that looks good. Now here's where it becomes a bit more of a guessing game, because now I've got to start making it up using polenta and all of that. So I'm going to get myself my scales. Then I'm not sure how much polenta I've got left here. I can't even remember what I used it for, but I'm hoping I've got about 150 grams worth of polenta in here, maybe a bit more. That's 150 grams worth of polenta. I might do a bit more. I'm going to do 175. Then I'm going to add in some ground almonds. I'm going to go with about 100 grams worth of ground almonds, I think. No, I'm not sifting. I am really winging it today. Hence the name of the segment. Then because I want this to be chocolatey, I'm going to add in 50 grams worth of cocoa powder, nice dark cocoa powder here. And then I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons worth of baking powder, because as I said before, there is no self-raising flour in this, so we need something to give it some lift. So that's why I'm using 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I don't know why I'm still shaking that because it's all off the spoon. Right, now I'm going to combine this together and just see how it looks, because I have no idea what consistency it's going to be. Right, that's looking pretty thick, but that's fine because what I wanted to do anyway was drop in a double espresso's worth of coffee. That will thin this out quite a bit, and it also really lift the flavour of that cocoa powder. So back in. Now that is looking thinner, but it could stand to be a little bit thinner. So I'm just going to add in another tablespoon's worth of milk into this. I say another, I'm going to add in a tablespoon's worth of milk. And mix that in as well. Just got to get around all the edges here, make sure it's all mixed in. but I think this is a decent consistency now. I think we should get a decent cake out of this, I hope. Again, this is all a mystery. I have no idea how polenta bake, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty cake battery. I wonder if it needs an extra kick of chocolate in it, but I'm hesitant to mess around with it too much. What I might actually do is, though, I've got a bag of chocolate chunks here. I'm going to add those in. Saves me having to melt chocolate, and we get an extra kick of chocolate in there. Let's fold these in. Now it's turning into kind of like a chocolate chip polenta cake, which is random, but hopefully it'll be nice. I'm quite excited to see how this turns out. Even if it's a horrible failure, hopefully it'll taste nice at least. It might sink harder than the Titanic, but who knows. Right, I've lined and greased myself a baking tin. It's about 8 inch, I think. I haven't measured it. Again, winging it. And I'm just going to pop in our cake batter into this. No mucking about, just whack it all in. Then I'm just going to smooth it out to the edges using a palette knife. Then I'm going to pop this into the oven at 180 degrees for probably about 30 to 35 minutes to start off with at least. It's quite heavy, so it probably needs a fair amount of baking, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it as usual. So in it goes, and we'll come back and hopefully we'll have cake. Right, it has been about 50 minutes, I think, because I have been checking this periodically and making sure it is actually baked all the way through, which I believe this now should be. So I'm just going to do the old skewer test, but it's looking a lot more firm in the middle than it was. I'm going to give it a poke around here, I think. And that looks pretty good now. It has come out clean. It looks like it's risen pretty well. It's looking well baked. It smells really good. It's really chocolatey in here. And I just need to give it a little bit of time to cool in the tin so I can take it out and hopefully not let it break. And hopefully in that time it won't collapse like a flan in a cupboard. So I need to give this a few minutes just to cool down in the tin, and then I'm going to try and carefully get it out of the tin and hope it doesn't fall apart. Right, this has had a few minutes, probably about 5 minutes to cool down in the tin. Usually I wouldn't show this stage of it coming out the tin, but in the spirit of winging it and seeing how this all goes step by step to see if this actually works, I'm going to take it out the tin and hope it doesn't fall apart. So I'm using my spring form tin, unclip it and hope it comes out without tearing away any of the cake. Oh, that seems to be fairly clean. Oh yes, that's looking quite good. That is looking good. And now I need to try and flip this over. So I've got another cooling rack here, which I'm going to then flip over. Gently, oh, gently. Right, I need to try and peel this away as carefully as I can. Hopefully the baking paper will let me do that. Yes, it has. It's going well so far, better than I had envisaged. Let's peel this away as well. That is looking pretty good as well. It has come away nice and clean. Then I need to flip this right back over, like so. And there we go. That has come out pretty well. That is a chocolate cake, but made with polenta and ground almonds. Right, now I would usually let this cool down, but to be honest, I'm running out of light because it's getting quite dark. It is getting towards like 20 to 9. So I need to cut into this and try it to see if it's actually any good. And I can stop pointing at it, but it's actually come out really well. So I'm happy with that. Right, I now have this onto a cake stand. I admit, I nearly had a disaster getting it onto there. It did nearly crack, but that's because it's so warm and I was a bit clumsy with it. But it's in one piece still, and it's still looking pretty good. It just nearly cracked, that's all, but it's still all good. So I'm going to cut me a slice out of this. I'm going to go right around where the crack nearly formed, but that is cutting through pretty well. Let's see how it looks texture-wise. You know what? That's looking pretty good. That's looking like a pretty nice cake there. Hopefully it is nice and moist. Everyone hates that word, but that is the word that is going to be appropriate, hopefully. Let's get it onto a plate. I'm going to turn this around. That is looking like a pretty good texture, to be honest. Oh, well, that is a dreadful cut for me. That is completely wonky, but that looks really good. That's come out really well. I really like the look of that texture. But I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to go try it now, and hopefully it will taste as good as it looks, maybe even better. Who knows? Let's give it a go. Right, there we go. One chocolate polenta cake and ground almonds, but to be honest, it's mainly polenta. And that is the star of the show, and that is what we're trying to use instead of flour, because flour is really hard to come by at the moment. And it looks really good and it smells really good, and to be honest, it's got kind of like a brownie like texture on it in terms of the fact that it's got that nice crisp top and a nice softer middle. It's not gooey like a brownie, but it's certainly got that kind of like, it's like related to a brownie, let's say. And it smells really good, and we haven't done any icing or anything like that because we're going for simplicity, and that was pretty quick to put together. It took a bit of time to bake, about 50 minutes, but to be honest, that's still not bad. This has still all been done in an evening. It's a little bit later, but I did this after work, so it's not too bad for like an evening's work. But as usual, enough talking from me. I get told I talk enough, which is quite unusual because I'm not a talkative person in person, but I just save it for you guys. Aren't you lucky? Anyway, I'm going to give this a go because I am really, really interested to how this is going to taste and how the texture is going to be. And that's cut really well. And it's going to be warm as well. And that's going to make it really tasty, I hope. It smells really good. So here we go. Oh, hello. Oh, that's really nice. Slight graininess to it because of the polenta. Could I have done anything with that? Potentially. But you know what? That's pretty nice. That's really, really moist. Sorry, again, the word that people don't like, but it's appropriate. It's really nice. It's really chocolatey. It has kind of almost got that brownie-like texture to it, almost. But that's actually really nice. That's come out really well. Like I say, it's a little bit grainy because of the polenta, but on the whole, I really like that. That is really tasty. And that's a really good flourless alternative to a chocolate cake. You don't need anything else with that. It doesn't need like any icing or anything on it. It's really good. I'm really happy with that. Yeah, complete experiment. Never made it before, but it's turned out really well, and it just shows you what you can do if you don't have any flour and you just have a bit of time to experiment. That is a win in my book. That is a pass. I'm really happy with that, and hopefully you found this video useful. I'm going to continue trying to churn out really useful stuff for you guys, hopefully stuff that you enjoy. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and get cleaned up and finish this off because it's getting late. And I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it useful. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all that usual stuff. But as always, stay safe and well, and I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. I'm going to go finish this off.